Do you know we've got people all around us that are dying? Do you know that there are people whose marriages are falling apart, children looking everywhere? Do you know that people are searching and hurting? We're in a quagmire. Do you know what's going on around us, folks? You do, because you and I are in it. Moses, this one man, this story of deliverance, God used this man. And the question that I asked concerning this man was a very simple question in many ways. Very simple question. I just asked the Lord, I said, Lord, if you could have used Moses like this to give an entire nation such hope in the midst of such hopelessness, could you possibly use me in my neighborhood? Lord, is there something that I could do? What is it about Moses? And God began to speak to my heart. So what did Moses do? Here's what Moses did. Number one, he said yes to God. Any further questions? You know, I love that passage that I read to you in chapter 3 of the book of Exodus. I would have given anything to have been there. Now, his was sort of dramatic. It was just amazing. Here's Moses out in the wilderness, and God confronts him. And God says to him, Moses, excuse me, I'm talking to you. I've got a plan for you. It was an extraordinary plan because these people had been locked in their pitiful condition for over 400 years. They were really battling. If you wanted to describe a people without hope, I'm sure that it would have been the children of Israel at this time. And I'm not going to get into all the background, but all of a sudden God came to one person and said, you're that person. And he said, yes, Lord, here I am. Being used of the Lord begins with a very, very simple act of obedience. It's not profound. It's just simply a total capitulation. It's just when you say, here I am, Lord. By the way, I don't think even Moses fully understood what he was about to get into. If you asked him and said to him, Moses, now you know you're going to have to cross over a raging sea, and you know you're going to be leading a people who will be starving to death, and they won't have anything to drink, and do you know they're going to encounter the enemy at every turn, and do you know that they are going to battle in every walk of life? God didn't put all that in front of him. He just said to him, Moses, Moses, would you be prepared if I chose you to be the messenger of hope? It's amazing what God can do with one life committed to the Lord. What did Moses do? He said yes. What did Moses do? Number two, he saw the plight of his people. Now, I'm going back again because I want to go back to the beginning. In chapter 2, I read about it one day when Moses was grown up. Now, by the way, can I just say this to you folks? I think this is important in our Bible study. This happened when Moses was grown up, which means that Moses spent the better part of his early years not fully aware of the plight of the people. Do you know that you and I can spend years and years and years and years and years being among a people and never truly understanding the battle that is going on. Maybe the reason is because we're so blessed like Moses was. Do you know, someone said to me, the more you have, the more difficult it is to really be concerned about those who don't have. I often wonder, I'm not trying to indict us as a people, folks. Please don't think I'm saying that. But why don't you come with me to India or to Africa or to most parts of South America? Do you know that when you go to some of these nations in the world, you don't even have to hardly make an announcement that you're bringing them the hope of Christ. Just stand and start speaking, and they come by their hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds. Have you ever wondered why it just seems to be a lot more difficult in America? Have you ever wondered why you can go to a place like China, of all places? China. Do you know that there are hundreds of thousands of people who believe in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ in China, where they persecute people for their faith? And the prayer meetings and the power of God. And many times, even in the confines of our own world here in America, where we're so blessed, where we have motor cars and food and ball games and family, and we can actually go and sit on our deck. I told my son the other day, he said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm sitting on my deck drinking a cup of coffee." He said, "Dad, don't ever take something so simple as that for granted. Where I am right now, you don't sit on your deck and drink coffee.